run it optimum. I got the drum, I got the drop on them. I got the lock, stock, and barrel on top of them. I got the chopper for the block, they knocking on. Action chin, look at the crowd, the way they packed in tin. Lone wolf, here to how, with a packed in din. Easy back in, then shooting off at the mouth like I got that go.
So, iPhone, day one. The TLDR on this shot is basically, it's the phone out of focus, coming into focus. The idea, though, is that we're taking the camera, which is usually on the end of the robot, putting it on sticks, using the Fizz system, which is connected into the computer with all these handy dandy cables, and using the robot arm itself as the way to actually move the subject.
So for the first time ever, I'm gonna have controls in the timeline using the Fizz system for focus, but then the robot's gonna be moving and the camera's not going to be moving.
Yeah.
And not only that, but because of how the robot sits, it's kind of like sideways with the mount. So all of our controls are going to be kind of backwards. Everything's going to be very confusing.
Basically, this is the first wide shot of this move, and then we're gonna cut in and do a couple different tighter ones, but this is the first pass, so let's see what it does.
I just want you to see how messed up that robot looks right now, and this thing needs to move straight towards the camera, so the chances of this working first try feel slim, but we'll see what happens.
It feels a little cramped right now,
It
not
does.
gonna lie, yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen,
Cool.
we got him. This is a rotation and like a action button shot. It lands completely side profile.
If you want to wonder why it's not simple, because even though it's just going straight up, look at how the axis of the robot hand is right now. That does not move in a straight line.
We're kind of running into an issue because as great as the robot is, for small, really close-up shots, you start to see the jitter. What instead we're gonna do, instead of having this mounted to the robot, is we're gonna basically hard mount the phone to a C-stand.
Then we're gonna use the robot like it's supposed to be used and put the camera back on the robot. But what's fun about that is we have this new stand, or this new bracket here. And because of how we set this up with dovetail mounts on both sides, I can very easily take this off of the tripod and set it back up here. Beforehand, were 7 screws you would have to put into the top part on the mount and then set it up through a different cheese plate. So like this should be much easier, and this is why we're more confident being able to like do all these shots where we're taking the camera off the robot and putting it back on the robot and putting it on the robot in different ways. So we're gonna switch all that now and put the camera onto the robot.
So you start at sort of the first quarter of the phone, you end dead center of the USB-C port, and then since this is kind of a similar shape, we're going to use this as a transitional piece to get to the dynamic island. These two are what we're going to do next. These two will both be hard-mounted phones and camera on robots. So we're basically done with all the products on the robot itself.
All right, I'm gonna hopefully quickly show you how easy it is to transfer from this tripod and just get anything back onto this. So I should just be able to pop off the tripod plate. Slide it onto there. And then tighten it up.
This is the dynamic island shot. It goes out to be the whole screen. Riveting, I know. The cool thing about this shot, if you turn over to that screen, we have this handy dandy feature called image overlay. And the cool thing about this feature, it's a small HD feature. We're trying to match up the shape of the USB-C port with the dynamic island to create a little transition in post. This is the type of thing that's just like so nice to have, to be able to do this kind of thing, because otherwise it would just be guesswork and then just like very small micro adjustments in post. But like with this, we actually have like a pretty good foundation to start from. Okay, so this is like shots 2 or 3 of the wallpaper switching. Mainly we're doing a ton of different repeatable shots because as the move goes on, it's changing wallpapers matched to the beat. So we have the option for repeatable frames, complex repeatable frames, which is really fun. So now we just swipe through and we have a new one. Okay, it is now 5:45. We have just wrapped the montage segment. We still have one more clip to shoot tomorrow. That involves Marquez, but that's also like probably the least of our concerns at this point, although famous last words. But we did it. It's been quite a long time. Anyways, let's get some sleep and we'll see y'all tomorrow. So we are about to embark on our like 11 or 12 shot journey. This is the first one. I actually kind of revised this a little bit because I decided as a transitional piece, I'm going to try and key out the background a bit. So we're using green construction paper. It's kind of sloppy, but it'll hopefully make my job a little bit easier. Once we're done with the key section, we'll go in and start adding different props. And then from there, we'll just work our way down the list and get to the final shot and have Marquez pull the phone out, and that will be that. So let's get this started.
This one is more complicated than it seems. It looks like just a top-down shot, but the difference we have is the new U bracket or C bracket or whatever you want to call it is on there, and the camera's facing down when normally it would be facing forward. This is going to let us go straight down and straight up and spin. The only issue is it's a little off axis, so you'd think it would just have to go up and down, but we need to adjust it a bunch because it's actually making like a swirling motion.
This kind of looks like our regular 18-35, but it's parfocal, and it's got a little shim right here so we can get super close on focus. So this should help with that uptight shot, getting all the way out, and the focus is a little bit more consistent and linear, so it'll be more consistent throughout the whole shot. So we got a bunch of props here. They all mean something around the phone. We got cameras, the triple lenses, in the exact same orientation, just on the other side. We got repairability, because it's a little cheaper to fix now. We got USB-C for the USB-C Euro boys, and some materials for the metalness, titanium. We got microphones, because I think they actually improved the microphones, like for call quality. And last but not least, lift flashlight. That was Brandon's idea for the action button.
Okay, so yet again, we're using the handy dandy overlay tool, which is like so sick because in putting props back in, we captured what we want it to look like as a final frame. And now we're just like piece by piece filling it back in kind of thing, which is really useful because that's all we would be working with if we didn't. So get yourself a small HD. Go. Well, we did it, I think. I don't know, I lost count. I think it was like 13 shots, 13 takes for that last part, something like that. There was a lot. But yeah, we did it. It was just like tedious placement of each part. But again, thankfully that thing helped us. And then Marquez came in clutch with his hands.
Are you mic'd up?
Yeah.
Oh. There was also some last second additions for title slides for a little throwback to the intro for later in the video.
Okay, so what you didn't see was probably about 10 hours of just editing. And that consisted of just largely putting all the pieces together in the timeline as well as animating. My original idea was to do sort of a multimedia thing where I used like actual physical paper and I was scanning in things. And honestly, like if I had more time, I probably would have explored that a bit further. But for the sake of trying to get this out in about 2.5 days, I took a piece of advice that Vinh had, which was use Procreate. Vinh is always right is the moral of the story. This was my first experience with Procreate. I used it for probably about 20 minutes before I started working on this. So I'm sure there's a much better way of using this software for what I was doing, but I'm working with what I had. But the main intent was to just draw attention to these very specific aspects that we're focusing on with this intro, as well as using them in a way to transition between shots. Also, shout out to OWC for sending us these drives. I edited the whole entire thing off of this drive, which is pretty handy for being on the go. I will say with Procreate as well, they have like a video specific app coming out in I think November, which I'm actually pretty excited to try coming from this project. Like I wish it came out earlier for this project specifically. Anyways, that's all for this section. I don't know what's next, probably conclusion. Anyways, see you there. Okay, hello. We are done. We are wrapped. This was a labor of love, if you want to call it that. Ellis took the audio for this, which really just like put the cherry on top of everything. I mean, thanks to the C bracket, we managed to do a lot of cool new stuff.
Yeah, I think that opens us up to a lot of fun possibilities with rotation in the future and just ease of use of taking the camera on and off the robot. I know you've already pitched me ideas of putting phones on the robot again, so
it's fun. But no, I'm very thankful for the response so far. It's already up live on the channel, so make sure to check it out and let us know what you think. Anyways, thank you all for watching. Appreciate it. Bye.